Today is the second day that we're doing upper body stuff. Today's going to be back and biceps. I'll be throwing in a lot of different curls and things that will activate biceps, which again is your front up here. Most people know the biceps. And for back exercises, one of the literally the best thing that you can do is pull-ups and chin-ups. Chin-ups engage more of your bicep because you're pulling like this whenever you're doing a chin-up. Some people can do more chin-ups than they can do pull-ups. Pull-ups is when your grip is forward and you're pulling this way, and it usually uses a little more back and a little less chest. When you're doing a chin-up, it's a little more chest, a little more bicep. Both are using your back either way. I try to vary up the grips greatly. If it's a harder day, I once a week try to use weights and things. Keep this in mind. A lot of people get depressed about a workout like this and be like, I can't do a pull-up or a chin-up. Maybe I'm super strong, but yet I still can't do a chin-up or a pull-up. That just looks impossible. Or don't get hard on yourself, because that is a workout that you can take someone like me, and I consider myself in pretty good shape, and I'm over 40, and I can do chin-ups and pull-ups, nowhere near as many as some people, but a lot more than some others. If I have extra weight on me, which I do by strapping an extra belt around and let a 45-pound plate dangle off of me. 45 pounds on me wouldn't look overweight. Only a few years ago, I lost 30 pounds. So an extra 45 pounds doesn't even look, especially with my shirt on and everything, like you wouldn't even really notice it. So I'm giving you a good excuse for, hey, that is a huge difference on the numbers that I can do, because it's a body weight exercise. Keep in mind, there's no shame in using, I have several straps I'm pointing to on the walls if you guys can see it, but you'll see, if you're in a gym, you'll have like on the dip bar areas, they'll have where you can do lat pull downs. You can put your knees on them. It'll be a machine that looks kind of like this. Of course, it's just a rack, but it'll have an area that you can set your knees on, and it helps to support you, and that gives some of the weight of your own body off while your muscles get to do the same workout. If you've got something like this, just a regular chin-up bar, something that is above that you can grab like that, you can put any of those exercise bands on it. You just tie it off. You know what? I'll show you guys. Hold on. These bands, again, a very low-cost thing to invest in. They're great for stretches. They're great for, I'd use other bands over there for doing curls and things, which we'll be doing later. So these are wonderful, and they're very low cost. But something as simple as this, all you have to do is that, and then it gives you assistance on doing pull-ups, and you can get these at different weights, and that way whenever you do this, all you're doing is pulling down and letting it hold part of your weight up to help you to do the chin-up. So you can do this, and it will help you doing the chin-up or pull-up. I shouldn't have showed you getting off of it that way. If you were on it, they are plenty stretchable enough that on an average one and you're standing on the ground, you could stand on the actual ground and come down here and then take the weight off. So it wasn't so dangerous. I showed it in a bad way that it was me just monkeying around with my grip. So we're going to do a lot of chin-ups and pull-ups today, but I'll also use a lat pull down, and I'll throw in a lot of biceps. All today is engaging. Yesterday was this portion. Today is going to be this portion at the front, And that way, when I get done, that's the day when you walk around, you're actually like this afterwards. Because I started out with legs, the next day now it's here and here, so that's mildly sore. And now the next day, since that little bit of soreness is setting in, it'll be here, this portion, and this portion. So everything in this area that holds your arms out, you start out in the morning with them a little more like here. When you get done today, it is normal for you to be looking like you're trying to show off just because everything's going to be pumped out. Whether you're at the gym or if you're at home trying to do some of these workouts, keep in mind that one thing that you can do is while you're about to start, you do plenty of movements that will keep the muscle group moving. You'll see people doing things like this in the gym. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It keeps everything going. As they used to say in the Army, it's to get your synovial fluid going. That's the fluid that stays in your joints that helps to lubricate everything. You're wanting to do movement stretches. Things that, like, since today we're going to be engaging our, if everything around the shoulders, even though it's not truly shoulder workouts, it's everything around shoulder movements. That's going to be the primary area. Sling your arms, do the little circles, or if you start with some smaller circles, maybe I should back up. I think that you guys can see me. Do the circles one direction, and you can get them larger and larger until you're really getting full range of motion. You're basically doing a backstroke. And then you reverse. These are good things to keep all of that moving. By doing it like this, I'm getting a stretch from here, pulling all the way down to here. So I'll pull over, and then helping it to pull across the back and getting those muscles moving early in the morning. A good stretch will save you from tearing something that you didn't want to tear. Bicep workout, one of the classics. Just grab yourself some dumbbells, start doing curls. They're straight down by my side, and as I come up and rotate to where it turns, as you can see there. It's by my side, it rotates and turns. Try not to, if you're sideways, you can see, try not to do this. If you got too much weight, you'll be swinging and your body will be rocking. There's nothing wrong with getting some of that swing action going on whenever you're getting into the heaviest part of the end of your workout, because sometimes that's still a good way to tear them, but a good way to start out is to stare at a mirror and to really try to focus on not rocking. Sometimes while I'm resting, I'll engage other muscle groups, beginning and ending. I don't necessarily have a day that I try to work out my wrist. So sometimes I'll do little wrist curls, especially when you're picking up a new set of weights and putting them down. It just is a good thing to throw in because I don't work out those particular muscles all the time. It's just one of those auxiliary muscle groups that you just throw in whenever you think about it. Be doing chin-ups now, the reverse grip, when your grip is pointed back towards yourself. With a chin-up, a lot of times your grip is closer. Keep everything else very stiff. If you can keep your legs slightly pointed in front of you and your core stiff, it's easier to move a rigid form than it is something that's flopping. And you can get some movement out of doing this and rocking back and forth and actually moving up easier, and it's true. But a good chin-up looks good when you watch it by everything being rigid, pulling straight through the movement and going down. That's a much better chin-up. Last thing that I'll tell you, when you go all the way down, there is a difference between holding and relaxing too much. When I'm fully down, everything in my shoulders is still engaged. I'm not letting those ligaments do the holding. If I would totally relax and let just my grip hold, it would look like that. And it feels a little different. It's cheating. It makes it easier. But technically, all of that is holding right in a second. The difference is the ligaments holding bone to bone in my shoulders are not having to hold me up. My muscles were holding me up. If you relax too much because you're exhausted, you're letting a ligament hold bone to bone and just hold you there. That's a good way to tear a ligament. Tearing ligaments aren't what you want to do. You want to tear muscle, and you want to tear it slowly so that it rebuilds. By holding and pulling, you're putting pressure on your muscles. By holding here and then letting your body weight just hang freely, there is a difference. You'll notice it quickly because, again, if you're not used to doing chin-ups or pull-ups, don't jump up there and let everything just free hang. There is a difference between engaging your shoulders and actually holding yourself, or letting everything do the work for you. You're working out to get the workout. You don't want to do it just to be like, I got so many reps. Do it so that you feel healthy about yourself. You know, I'm doing these demonstration videos to literally help out as much as possible. It's not a show off to be like, oh, I did X amount of reps. There are plenty of guys that can do so much more than me. There's guys in the groups that I do. They're knocking out 21 of these at a time. I can't. I get like half of that. But I still, instead of trying to do some max test and do it wrong, I get a lot more out of it by just being healthy. And the big goal in anything to do with truly working out, aesthetics are nice. It's good to feel good about your body and have that positive reaction, but everything is mostly about what your own mobility is and what you're capable of doing during the day. If you're a logger and you're moving a chain or you're moving a chainsaw or you're doing something that is physical, it's the capability. If you're an office worker and you don't have the capability of getting a physical workout during the day, but your after hours is maybe you want to be out in a boat rowing, or you want to be able to do dirt biking or something. Physically being able to move yourself helps you to physically be able to move yourself. And if you try to 1 rep max every time you get in the gym, or let's just see how many I can do if I just totally relax and keep going, you're going to wind up pulling something because that's not used to being under that kind of pressure. Don't get crazy. Usually people don't get totally crazy when they start out. When they get crazy is after doing mild workouts for a few weeks, then they get a little bit of confidence because their numbers start increasing quickly, and then you really want to see more improvements. And then they'll do stuff like improper hanging and putting that extra tension on those ligaments. Uh, Again, and I know just enough to get me in trouble. So ligaments are the things that connect bone to bone. Tendons are the thing that connect your muscle to the bone. Think of it as the tender stuff connecting your tender things like a muscle to the bone. So the ligament is the thing that usually you need surgery to correct that. Not good. When you're pulling a muscle fiber, it's made of a lot of water and protein, and it can be rebuilt quickly. That's why you drink plenty of water and protein to keep up with you mildly tearing muscles. We are not out to tear tendons or ligaments. I said earlier, varied grips. I have these free hanging. There's a lot of different ways of doing this in a regular gym. Different grip sizes makes a difference on how many you can do. The larger, usually the harder it is to hold it. If they're rotating, same deal with the bar. If it rotates, that will make a difference long term. A lot of really strong guys have a problem with their grip. They'll be doing a regular chin up here or a pull up, and their grip strength is the thing that fails before their actual before any other muscle group fails of doing the action, their hands from being sweaty and from a poor grip strength, that will fail. And they could have knocked out another chin up or two, and they literally just can't hold themselves anymore because of grip strength. Vary that up, and again, things like this are good. And I'll move these wider and closer. When it's closer, I'll rotate sometimes just to see if I can turn as I come up and have them parallel. When you go through the movement very slow, you'll get a very good workout. You can hear my voice quiver because it's more difficult to do everything slowly. You can also rep out. And I'll vary that grip a lot. I'm going to keep doing them, but it's difficult to keep showing everything. A lot of people are watching this to try to learn what to do to get into utilizing some of the stuff in a gym. This is a preacher curl bench. Usually there will be an easy curl bar that's on there. It's called an easy bar. That's the one with the bends in it. You're going to want to start out with much lower weight as always. I know that sounds redundant, but I'm telling you, you always want to start out with lower weight than what you think you can do anyway. There's no shame in doing warm-ups. To adjust a bench like this one, I believe my wife has been on here and adjusted it a little bit too high. There's always a seat at the back of a preacher curl bench because you're trying to go over. There is adjustments on them. So get yourself adjusted down to a height that's comfortable so that you're resting. You want your elbow to as much of your shoulder resting here as possible. It doesn't have to be an absolute perfect fit because you're not moving anything but your biceps, but you do want it to be a comfortable fit. That's about right for me, so that would be fine. So to start, you can do this, and there's two ways of gripping this bar. You can grip in here on the inside, and you can also grip out here. Both put your hands at the proper position. You're not gripping it where your hands are pointed out. You're gripping it where it's more comfortable, where your hands are pointed in. So like this, or if it rotates like this. Both are acceptable. Both are perfectly fine. I'll show it like this for right now. You can stand up to bring it up and sit down. It's extremely difficult to try to bring it from down there. That's the proper way of doing that. So your full workout we'll be bringing it down, and the gym ones are a little larger, so it's easier. Mine is just a home gym thing, so it's not quite as commercial. But this is a very good isolation for your biceps. Try to rep out close. A workout like that, you should do a few warm-ups, but you should be able to get close to 8 to 10. 8 to 10 is a good number to try to shoot for. If you're finding that you can easily do more, don't do more, just up your weight. That way you basically get a real good strain at about 8 to 10 reps. I'll show you one more thing. You can use this same bench with a regular dumbbell, and you're doing the same thing, you're just isolating one arm at a time. You'll have to sit a little sideways, depending on which arm that you're engaging, grip something, and then you're just doing a full rep with a dumbbell. You'll notice I'm not slinging it down, because at the end, if you sling your arm quickly because it's too much weight, you will hyperextend this elbow past what it's supposed to go to. You don't want to do that. What you want is to find a weight that pushes your boundaries a little bit. This one doesn't push my boundaries. I'm doing it because I want to be able to talk while I do it. Ideally, you shouldn't be able to sit here and do this during your workout and carry on a normal conversation. Find a weight that when you do this, you can barely do 8 to 10, and you start to really feel a burn right across there. And of course, rotate, change your position, and just rip out 8 to 10. You'll notice I'm not going down fast, and I'm not slinging it into position. There's nothing to stop my hand from falling and hyperextending my elbow. I go down almost full, and I stop. This is not one of those workouts that you want to keep pushing your boundaries until you get so heavy that you might hurt your elbow. We're trying to work out to get extra movement, not wind up in the hospital. If you're going to be fully honest with everybody, people have asked me, like, what do you eat? What do you drink? What do you do? And food makes a huge difference on what results you get out of your workouts. You can be super strong, and I've worked out for years. Literally, a lot of these workouts I have been doing for at least 5 years straight, and at a minimum of 4 to 5 days a week for that entire time. And yet, I didn't see real results until I started pairing my proper eating habits with that. I grew up in the South. Everything is fried, and you drink sweet tea with every single meal. Those two are just non-negotiable and something that I always did. I didn't even know there was any different option. Currently, there is the only things that I drink at all during the day ever that is not just water is my one drink that I drink with my workout. I'll tell you what all's in here. And my coffee is always straight black coffee. I drink that first thing. Well, not exactly first thing in the morning. I wake up at about 4:45 in the morning, and I'll drink a swig of water. I want that to be the very first thing that's in my body. My coffee's already made, but I go over there and I pour my coffee, and then I sip on that to just relax, and I'll scroll through social media pages and just kind of catch up on news or something for a little while when my body gets woken up. Then I'll manufacture this drink, which I bring to the gym with me, and does not have any pre-workout. I think of my caffeine from my straight coffee as my pre-workout. There's nothing wrong with pre-workouts. If you want to use pre-workouts, they're fine. I really emphasize trying to find one as clean as possible. It's good if it tastes good too, but honestly, as clean as possible. There are many drawbacks. Some people really like the feeling, the tingles and stuff you get from it, and it makes you feel pumped. And if that helps, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally don't do it anymore because a couple of them that seemed like they were working great would give me stomach acid and reflux. And some of them really, if I really got into a hard workout on an endurance day, it felt like my heart was really accelerated too much. And I was already accelerating my heart plenty. I didn't need that to be bumping me up more. So I thought, you're working out to feel good about your body and to feel good about being capable of doing things. And if you're doing something that's overstimulating or adding unclean things to your diet, what's the point? So the only things I put in here, and I don't do it the way, this is the Bobby way, just like most of the Bobby workouts. So I'm telling you what I put inside here because I like it and I feel like it's good for me. Take that at your own risk and just do what you think is right. I use a product that my wife sells, so I'm not trying to put in a product endorsement here. I just read all of the labels. That is a good product, very clean, and I like it. That is amino acid that we put inside there. Now, that essential amino acids are good because they replace a lot of the things that you burn up during a workout. It says to drink that before you do the workout. I'm sure that's a very good way to do it. It don't work for me because I want to do what I just told you. Drink my water, drink my coffee, then ease into the gym. I can't drink that much before I go to the gym. So what I'm doing is instead of adding the 6 ounces or whatever water it says, I pour that in and then I fill my cup up to 24 ounces of water. I also put creatine in there. It's been proven that one doesn't really have any side effects. It's one of the most studied things that you can do. So I put the regular, straight, clean creatine. I think I use a 6-star. I'll put a picture of those products on for you guys. I put that inside there, and then I put straight lemon juice, the actual squeezed lemons, and that's solely because they put a natural sweetener in that amino acid that I use the strawberry lemonade one, and because of that, it's overpowering still with the sweetener. But that's because I told you I don't drink anything sweet anymore. The only other item I drink at all, ever, is milk, and that's a Fairlife fat-free milk. Sometimes, maybe once or twice a week, I drink that with my breakfast. Beyond that, it's water, 100% through the day, every single meal, at night. That's the only option, water. So it's this, and I only add the lemon juice to it because that's counteracting the sweet that's there. My body's just not used to so much over sweetening. Now, years ago, I would have thought it wasn't sweet enough. I'd probably dumped some sugar in there because I grew up drinking a pitcher of sweet tea. You just put this much sugar in the bottom, and then you fill it up with the hot tea, and you stir it around, and you're good to go. I don't do fried food, and I don't do all of that sweetener anymore. Just taking that out of my diet, even though I work out just as hard and just as much as I used to, I've dropped 30 pounds, and the abs that I had that I could feel underneath there, I can now see, and I've maintained that for about 2.5 years or so, to where you can actually see abs. Like I have that washboard thing going where you can do that. That's good. It's not because I'm working out harder. It's because I'm eating cleaner, and it made the excess fat on my body not continue to get stored. So again, I do that because I keep going back to, in the middle of my workout, I keep hydrating. Your muscles are made up primarily of protein and water. As you burn stuff, you have to keep replenishing it. Don't starve yourself of the water. You need it. So keep drinking, keep hydrating while you're working out. And, if you haven't bought one of those shaker cups, it's nothing more than you can get them super cheap. Some of them have a ball floating around in them. Some of them have a little rod on the inside that has a spring. It's just called a shaker cup. You can get them for $10 easy. And anything that you put inside there It really helps to stir it around and keep it mixed up so that you don't get a whole bunch of powder at the bottom of whatever you do. I'm not endorsing all of these different products or trying to push anything on you. I'm just being very honest with, if you look at somebody and you want to do what they're doing, sometimes you want to know what they are doing. So I'm going to be upfront with what I do. I'm going to try to even do one of those updates that shows you this is my breakfast, my snacks, my lunch, and my supper. To be like, of course, they're not perfect. That's not what happens every single day, but that is a very good example, and I'll do that very soon of this is what I do, coupled with the workouts. That's how once you're over 40, you can still maintain a physique that you can still go and play with your kids and ride bikes and ride dirt bikes and paddle a boat and still do physical things that you want to do. So again, I do drink an amino acid, just an essential amino acid. If that's something that you're into, do it. I'm not pushing an extra product. You can just get by with water, and you don't have to do the creatine either. The creatine is just something that I wanted to be honest about and say I don't drink any, there's no super foods or anything like that, but I do actually use the creatine, and I cycle back and forth off of that. I'd say I only do one scoop in this, and after a month or so, I cut it out and I don't do it for a month or so. That way it gets out of my system, and then I'll go back to taking some of it. It's just something I feel like it can't hurt, and it isn't a component that's in your body natural anyway. So if you're going to starve your muscles of things like essential amino acids and water and the creatine, you might as well give it back to it. That's the reason that you eat more protein. I'm going to show you another way to set up equipment at the gym. You can do this at home too, but I said a lot of people are using this to not look inexperienced or feel inexperienced at the gym. You don't want to go there to feel down on yourself. You want to feel good about yourself. So you can take a regular bench. A lot of times there's some that's even set up that's kind of already manufactured this way. These adjustable ones. Get yourself an angle that is anywhere from reclined back like that, or this, where it's a mild recline. For this workout, I'm going to show you one that's slightly back even more. But keep in mind you can do it about there, or even some of the ones that are permanently done at the gym will be set up at a 90-degree angle. But for this one, I'm going to recline it back at an angle like this. If you do that, do increase the angle of the bottom. Some of the fancier benches, the minute you do that, it will automatically adjust this. Some of the cheaper ones like this, you have to adjust it. That's solely so that the more you're sloped back, your butt doesn't slide off of the bottom of the bench. So get yourself a seat that's stopping you from sliding off. You're reclined back. I'll show you from that angle and then I'll move it over. Get yourself your dumbbells. If you're not familiar with this, again, always start with a lighter weight. What you're doing is you're doing a curl, but this gets your arm to be at a farther back angle, which activates a slightly different isolated muscle group. So you do curls like this, each side. So I'll show you from that side. And I'll show you from over here. What you want to be doing is facing that bench toward a mirror. People think that everybody in a gym is so self-centered that they just want to stare at themselves in the mirror. There's nothing wrong with staring at yourself in the mirror. Number one, you should start feeling confident about your body. But second, you're mostly trying to watch yourself because, like me with these videos, you can go back and watch yourself and see where you messed up, and you might already know it. If you're staring at a mirror, it helps you to correct form when you can see from a different angle. So, again, I'm set back. It's the same workout I was just doing over there. I'm just showing you from the front angle. You're just I'm actually looking at a mirror right this second behind the camera so that I can see myself when I bring this up and I rotate down. We've all seen a workout where it's a mixture of the preacher curl bench and what I just did, where it's an old gym picture where you'll see a guy sitting here, the dumbbell is like this, and you're doing this, you're utilizing your own leg as isolation for doing the curl. There's nothing wrong with that as well. It's just activating different bicep muscles. Just knocking out a few more pull-ups. As you go up, you hold, you're breathing out. As you go back down, you're exhaling or inhaling. Talked about these before. I really like the exercise bands. They give constant resistance on your way up. When you're doing a dumbbell, when you first start to bring it up, at this point, you're lifting the most weight, and from here on, it's kind of that fulcrum point that it turns over. It gets easier, harder, easier. So this, you're not moving as much weight on it. To do the same movement and get more out of it, I'll throw in these. I mean, of course, I really like those. That's more realistic on life for what you'll be using your muscles for. But I'll do things like this where you stand on. I should break this down. You can get any of these exercise tubes or exercise bands, and you can increase by adding them incrementally to each other. This one is a 50, this one's a 40, so it's like 90 pounds of resistance. But it makes a huge difference where you stand as to how much resistance you're feeling on that. So gyms don't generally have a bunch of these. This is kind of a home workout thing or something you bring your own self in your own gym bag. But I like that. You stand on them, and you can do the difference is at this, it's the easiest when you're fully extended, and the farther you go over from here up, it's harder and harder. This is the hardest point, of course, because the band is the most resistance pulling back on you. On a dumbbell, this is your hardest point. On your bands, that's your hardest point. So exact same movements. And again, you can do isolated movements if you just want to stand and hold that portion. Focus on one. You can get in a mirror and you can really look to see that you're doing the same movement. And you can do that same movement. These are very good workouts because it's the same movement and yet strain your muscle at a different area. The last thing I'm going to show you for today's workout is how to use some of these belts. If you're at a point in your exercise routine that you can add weight instead of detract weight from things like a pull-up, then you do things like this. I want to show you how you put these on. You need to make sure that it's tight enough that it doesn't slide down off of you. Most ones like this have a lot of different attachment points. Keep something that is to the sides like this. You can hook to this point over here, and then something that's about parallel with your side or slightly in the front. This one I'm going to go with one slightly in the front, which puts it to where it's just right about where your pockets would be on a pair of jeans. Take any weight plate from anywhere else in the gym, slide it through. It's got a handle up top. Go ahead and do that. That keeps them from trying to pivot. But you can also go through that center hole, make a connection. If it's heavier plates, you keep them stacked up, and you go through it by squatting down, and then you bring it over and use your legs to lift with it. I wasn't doing a heavy weight, so I didn't have to show you complete proper form. I feel like I should. So bring it over, and then that keeps that weight swinging. Get over to if you're at a gym and that bar is pretty high, you may want to bring one of the boxes over that they'll do for jump squats and different Pilates stuff. So bring over something that you can step up to the bar, because you probably won't be able to jump. And get a grip, and then finish out by doing heavier reps. That's how you utilize a weighted belt, so that you can add whatever weight you want to decrease. Again, to get it down, let the plate rest, detach, go back through, and then you've got your plate separated, and you look like a pro when you're at the gym in front of other people.